Select with the lasso tools. Select with lasso tools. How to select with the lasso tools? Select with lasso tools. The lasso tool is useful, by the way, for drawing freeform segments of a selection border. And we have two options here now. We have steps. We have steps here now. Step number 1: select the lasso tool, this icon, and set feathering and anti-aliasing in the options bar. And step number 2: to add to, subtract from, or intersect with an existing selection, click the corresponding button in the options bar, like this screenshot now. We have selections options: A is meaning new, and B is meaning add to, and C subtract from, and D intersect with. Step number 3: do either of the following. Drag to draw a freehand selection border, and after that to switch between freehand and straight edged segments. Press Alt if you use Windows, or Option if you use macOS, and then click where segments should begin and end. And to erase horizontally drawn straight segments, hold down the delete key. Step number 4: close the selection border. Release the mouse without holding down and Alt or Option. And step number 5, optional: click Refine Edge to further adjust the selection boundary. Select with the polygonal lasso tool. How to select with the polygonal lasso tool? The polygonal lasso tool, by the way, is useful for drawing straight-edged segments of the selection border. And you have steps here again now. Step number 1: select the polygonal lasso tool, this icon, and select options. Number 2: specify one of the selections options in the options bar. And like this screenshot now. A is meaning new, and B add to, and C subtract from, and D is meaning intersect with, like previous example. And step number 3: we have optional here now. Set feathering. You should set feathering and anti-aliasing in the options bar. And step number 4: click in the image to set the starting point. And number 5: you should to draw a straight segment and position the pointer where you want the first straight segments to end, and then click continue, clicking to set endpoints for subsequent segments. Again, you should to draw a straight segment, position the pointer where you want the first straight segments to end, and then click continue and clicking to set endpoints for subsequent segments. After that, to draw a straight line at a multiple of 45 degrees, hold down Shift as you move to click the next segment. After that, to draw a freehand segment, hold down Alt if you use Windows, or Option if you use macOS, and then drag and drag. And when you finish, release Alt or Option and the mouse button. After that, to erase recently drawn straight segments, press the delete key. And step number 6, close the selection border. Position the polygonal lasso tool pointer over the straight point, and a closed circle appears next to the pointer, by the way, and click. After that, if the pointer is not over the starting point, double click the polygonal lasso tool pointer, or control click if you use Windows, or command click if you use macOS. Step number 7, optional again. Click Refine Edge to further adjust the selection boundary. And select with the magnetic lasso tool. How to select with the magnetic lasso tool? When you use the magnetic lasso tool, by the way, icon, the border snaps to the edges to defined areas in the image, and the magnetic lasso tool is not available, by the way, for 32 bytes per channel images anyway. And the magnetic lasso tool is especially useful for quickly selecting objects with complex edges set against high contrast backgrounds. And we have steps here now. We have many steps. Step number 1, select the magnetic lasso tool firstly. After that, specify one of the selection options in the options bar, like the previous example. new and add to and subtract from and intersect with. And number 3, optional here now. Set feathering and anti-aliasing in the options bar. And number 4, set any of these options. We have width. Width is meaning that to specify a detection with enter a pixel value for width. And the magnetic lasso tool detects edges only within the specified distance from the pointer. And to change the lasso pointer so that it indicates, by the way, the lasso width, and you should press the caps lock key, and you can change the pointer, by the way, while the tool is selected but not in use. And then press the right bracket to increase the magnetic lasso edge with width by 1 pixels, and then press the left bracket to decrease the width by 1 pixel again also, yes. What about contrast? Contrast is meaning that to specify the lasso's sensitivity to edges in the image, enter a value. You should enter a value between 1% and 100% for contrast. And a higher value by the way, a higher value detects only edges that contrast sharply with their surroundings, and a lower value detects lower contrast edges, by the way. What about frequency? Frequency is meaning that to specify the rate at which the lasso sets fastening points, and enter a value between 0 and 100 for frequency, and a higher value anchors the selection border in place more quickly. On an image, please. On an image here now, with well-defined edges, try a higher width and higher edge contrast, and trace the border roughly. On an image with softer edges, and try a lower width and lower edge contrast, and trace the border more precisely. What about stylus? Stylus brochure. Stylus brochure is meaning that if you are working with a stylus tablet, you should select or deselect the stylus brochure option, and when the option is selected, an increase is in the stylus brochure decreases the edge width, by the way. And number 5, click in the image to set the first fastening point. You should click in the image to set the first fastening point. Fastening points anchor the selection border in place. And number 6, you should release the mouse button or keep it pressed, and then move the pointer along the edge you want to trace. And the most recent segment of the selection border remains active, by the way, and as you move the pointer, the active segment snaps to the strongest edge in the image, based on the detection widths set in the options bar. And periodically, the magnetic lasso tools, by the way, adds fastening points to the selection border to anchor previous segments. Step number 7. If the border doesn't snap to the desired edge, click once to add a fastening point manually, and continue to trace the edge and add fastening points as needed, like this image. Look at this image carefully. Fastening points anchor selection border to edges. Number 8. To switch temporarily to the other lasso tools, do one of the following. To activate the lasso tool, hold down Alt if you use Windows, or Option if you use macOS again, and then drag while pressing the mouse button. And to activate the polygonal lasso tool, hold down Alt if you use Windows, or Option if you use macOS again, and then click. Step number 9. To erase recently drawn segments and fastening points, press the delete key until you have erased the fastening points for the desired segment. Step number 10. You should close the selection border. To close the border with a magnetic segment, double click or press enter or return to manually close the border, and drag over the starting point and click. And to close the border with a straight segment, hold down Alt if you use Windows, or Option if you use macOS, and then double click here now. And step number 11, optional here now again. Click refine edge to further adjust the selection boundary.